sure you guys have some opinions on this drawing that I'm doing, so go ahead, type it, I can take it. Do you struggle with anatomy? Does lighting your characters look bad? Is there something about your art that just isn't there and you can't quite put your finger on it? Do you suck at art? Okay, you don't suck at art. That's just for the clickbait. Don't worry about it. And not to worry, 'tis I, your art professor, who will come to your aid and give criticism on perhaps some fundamentals that your art may be lacking. And listen, I'm not mean. I'm not a meanie. It's very simple. You send me some art that you think you need some help with, and then I return it back with a little bit of advice. If you wanted someone to bully you, I just tune it. Okay, enough of that. Let's see how I can help. All right, so let's look at my Patreon Discord to see what submissions we have. We have a lot of juicy stuff, a lot of really cool. Ooh, this one by Kemani I think is really cool. I love the lighting. There is just like, ooh, there's just like a few things I'd like to do to make this really pop. The anatomy specifically, like kind of, I feel like we'd see a little bit of the underside of her nose. And then I think with the lighting, we can kind of make some of these sheens like pop a little bit more to not only make it look more like skin, but also to like the shines of the plane changes a little bit more obvious. So like I said, I think we should see a little bit of the back of this nose. Even that, look at that. Like her center line makes just a little bit more sense. This part right here, the eyeball doesn't actually go all the way like into that part of the eyes. In like carving out that eye shape a little bit more, her pupils are like really big, which, you know, is a stylization choice. So I'm not gonna hound you on that. But typically like it'd be a little bit smaller so it looks like the eye would be able to fit in there a little bit better. And then I'm gonna bring some more dark shadows to make that eye look a little bit more like it's, you know, sitting in something that's reflective and carries light. Now for the lips, I want the center line to be like right here. So sometimes it's just about liquify tool. Let's see if I can achieve this with the liquify tool actually. That should always be the first step. I'm gonna make her teeth come in a little bit more and her lips look more like it's hitting that angle. My favorite part is highlighting a little bit of this under eye. It's always so delicious. I'm gonna add just a tint of shading at the nose bridge. See, I'm just trying to make the planes of her face a little bit more obvious. And then always, whenever there's like a shadow, I love adding a little highlight back, maybe more of like a purple color to add a little bit of vibrancy. Okay, now we can go in with some of these highlights and lowlights and whatnot. So I'm going around all of these highlights and I'm basically adding a little bit of this purple transition. So whenever these blue highlights go into like a darker plane, I'm surrounding it with a little bit of purple on the edges for that transition. And you know, I'm doing this pretty quick. So I'm not putting all of my effort here. Now with her hair, she has these beautiful ringlets. I think we could emphasize it even further. And what you have here is like a great indication of not actually showing every single coil, but still having it quite defined. So what I'm gonna do is I'd like to go in and just like make some bits like lighter, you know? And then having more defined pieces at the very end. And then I put a little bit of a rim light back here. Maybe there's a light source behind her that is also influencing a little bit of the colors and why it's so blue. I think something like that would look very nice. And then I will take it even further and make that light source a little bit more obvious. And maybe it's not this blue color, maybe it's more of that like purple color. So one side of her is more of like a purple and one side of her is lit a little bit more blue. Like if you're gonna go neon, I'm like, go harder, go hard on the neon, on this blue lighting, you know, make her look like shiny is kind of my hot take. So this is my before and after. I kind of like played around with her lighting. I really added a little bit more purple hues, a little bit of like some more rim light, like where the lighting is affecting her a little bit more specifically. And then ever so slightly tweaked just like a little bit of her anatomy. I just made her cheekbones crazy. So, you know, take take it all with a grain of salt. What you do like about it, and then what you don't like about it. All right, let's get back to the Discord and see where next piece is gonna be. Just-an-Olliepop made a really cool OC design. I think that there's just like, if there's those slight tweaks I think we can do, not so extreme as the last one, to make this piece like really stand out. So I think this is really cool. I see that the lighting is coming from her ear ring piece, and then it's like reflecting on other bits, and there's also a little bit of rim light, how her eyes connect, how her nose connects. I feel like her eye would be tucked in a little bit more, so then her chin could come out, and her lips can come a little bit differently. Defining hair can really make something that much stronger. I see that this light is affecting the rim of her nose, but the way that the light hits her chin, her jaw right now, I feel like this would be illuminated stronger in order for the light to pass and then hit a bit of her nose. First thing I'm gonna do, I forgot to do it last time, is I'm gonna start with the liquify tool. Ooh, look at that. Just bringing her eye back in a little bit. I feel like that does wonders. This part above her nose bridge, I brought that down in a little bit more, and with that her eyebrow bridge and her cheekbone can stand out. And then showing a little bit of that inside nose, I feel like will help here. Okay, well, if this is her center line right here, then I feel like her lips would come out around here. And then I did something weird with the nose. Let me see how I could fix that. What the hell did I do here? Frankly, I don't know what I did there. Let me erase the nose. At the end of the day, it's the fact that I'm me and you're you. Is her hair glowing, or is it just a rim light? It's a little bit hard to tell at this stage, to be honest. So this is light, right? This is glowing. And then we also have another light source from behind her, but then we have her in a rim light. And sometimes I think that her hair is glowing. So I'm gonna try to make her highlights a little bit more concise. So I'm gonna say there's a light behind her, so I'm gonna add like kind of a rim light. I'm not gonna have this rim light in the front. So this light, I think, would hit her chin plane a little stronger. And then with that, then I think you can make this moment of the highlight on the nose a little stronger right there. Because if everything is bright and everything is light, then nothing is bright and light. You know what I mean? Like, we need contrast in order for this to feel like real. Okay, so this is our before and after, kind of understanding a little bit more where the light is coming from, understanding our light sources, kind of honing in on less light sources to define shapes a little bit more, to add some more contrast of dark pieces. And honestly, with the anatomy, like just throwing a little bit of the liquify tool around, adding that second nostril back in, and then playing with the hair a little bit is basically all I did. This is beautiful though. Awesome work. All right, let's go through the Discord, see what else we can come up with. I really like this piece by Starlight. This piece has like some really dynamic lighting that I think we can really play with. But this last one, I feel like it's less about lighting and more about like design decisions. Interesting. But before we get started, let me tell you about today's sponsor. I've been a fan of Wondershare for a while now, and the Uni Converter solves a lot of problems that I have as a content creator. I'm everywhere at once: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, but the format is different every time. So here's 4 top features I love, starting with 1, video conversion. What even is an MKV? I can't even play it on my computer, but I can convert videos, images, and audio into any format I need, even in batches. It's as simple as that. 2, video compression. My files are huge, almost like 2 gigabytes, which is a hassle if I want to store it on the drive or share and upload. So now I can easily reduce file sizes without losing quality, and yes, even in batches. 3, video and image enhancement. Sometimes I re-downloaded the same TikToks to upload again after a year or 2, and it loses quality every time. And yes, I definitely don't have the original saved, that's my bad. So I can easily denoise, up the resolution, or remove the TikTok watermark. And 4, batch processing. I've been saying it this whole time, I can do all this with multiple files at once. I can edit multiple short videos, resize, trim, color grade, etc. Saves me a lot of time. And listen, I gotta be efficient. I got a lot on my plate. Every little bit helps. So try Wondershare's Uni Converter yourself by downloading it through the link in the description. Now let's get back to fixing some art. You know, just because I feel like we've already tackled lighting a few times, I'm gonna go for this one. So let's lock in for a moment here. This hand I have big issue with, so I'm gonna fix that hand. Her face here is very cute, but there are just some things that flatten her out a little bit. So I think we can deflatten her. And then it's that thing that I say about hair, about I'd like to define some of these strands a little bit more to make it look a little bit
more like hair. I'm gonna bring this shoulder up and I'm gonna bring this hip up. So already there's a little bit more zhuzh, a little bit more Ariana Grande. I think by bringing her eye over, it could be a little bit more intentional at what she's looking at, because right now her eyes are a little bit not quite staring at something in front of her. Give her a little bit of lip filler. We're not looking at shadow here, but having a little bit of darkness right below her neck, I feel like would help separate her head from her neck a little bit. You know my opinion about hair. I think that we should see how these bad boys connect. It's very anime influenced, like the way that you see in manga with the hair down here. And then I'm gonna go in and add a little bit of highlights. It helps with dimension and making things like stand out a little bit more. You know, it's just a light and a dark, and then you can give that much more dimension on her. Now the hair doesn't really fit in the world with the character because it's a little bit too more rendered, so maybe I just keep one. Maybe I just keep the low lights, or maybe I keep the highlights. I'm gonna keep them both here for the controversy. So let's fix this hand. I'm thinking hand should be tucking in over and coming from behind. And maybe I would show a change in planes on how when these fingers connect. What I would like to do for these ruffles right here is have more defined shapes. So usually, like, this is what I like to do for ruffles, like very, very simple. As a character designer, I really don't like when things get really thin. I immediately just want to make it thicker, because what's the point of having it that thin if you can't really tell that it's there or what it is exactly? This makes this feel like actual like gold or something like that. I feel like it makes the character feel that much more real and like, you know, more like real elements on her body, and we understand what texture it is, we understand what material it is. And then with how thick it is, you could even add like details that make her character like shine. Wouldn't that be something that's fun? And then I'm wondering, well, what material is this? This looks like maybe it's a really thick like leather material perhaps. I am going to show the shine and the pleather of this material. So here's the before and after. I made her so much more of a diva. It looks like she's dancing right now. But, you know, to make this character really shine as like a main character, I defined her materials a little bit stronger. You know, I changed her anatomy ever so slightly, especially in the face, to make like her jaw connected to her neck a little bit less. I defined her hair a little bit more, and most importantly, fixed her hand. But this is beautiful. Excellent work. All right, back to the Discord. Let's see what else we can find. Leyli-like has this character that stood out to me because, you know, she said she has issues with the hand. The hand looks ginormous, but it's supposed to be in perspective. You know, more from a character design perspective, I feel like we're going all around here. We're doing a little bit of painting, a little bit of lighting. I'm gonna take this hand, I'm gonna do you one, and I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. You know, this is what I like to do. It's not like the drawing is done. I'm sculpting out the drawing. I'm seeing where it feels best, right? And we could have a pushed perspective, but I think that we can also tone it down a little bit. And then even show some of that arm moving towards us in perspective. Like, look how much more this already looks like this is connected to his body by showing just like a little bit of that underarm side. Here's my hot take, it's about the feet. That's the first thing I noticed. I don't like these feet. I wanna kind of change the angle. You know, if he's standing like this, I would imagine the feet would be more at angle like this. And then, you know, if we have these like really skinny little ankles and they're going into like shoes, I like to see like kind of a contrast where the shoes are this big chunky thing that the ankles are going into. Like if we bring all of this down, it looks even more like their faces tilted down. You know, he's making eye contact. I think his eyes could actually be a little bit more separated. You know what I'm about to say? Quick, in the comments, what am I about to say? You gotta thicken this up. But for this highlight, it really looks like you just threw on this like rim light without understanding how it affects the rest of the drawing. So instead of just having the same thickness, I want you to consider, you know, this part of the cheek, like it's really coming in, this blue, and then because this plane change, it's much thicker. So that's what I'm doing right here. This hand is behind. It kind of looks like it'd be in a pocket, the way it's tucked in, but there's no pocket. So I'm wondering, well, where is it? I would actually like show a little bit of that hand behind them. And then why not put the cherry on top and just have cool cast shadow behind them, because this is a pretty bold design, and having just a cast shadow behind them would emphasize how simple and bold this design is. First of all, I fixed that hand, and then I changed a little bit of the position of the shoes. I added a backhand, a little bit of shading and lighting I feel like would really make this character pop. Good job. All right, so this next piece, I'm gonna reach out of my Critique Me Jackie hashtag on Instagram. So even if you're not part of my Discord, this piece is very cool. Her anatomy looks a little bit off with her arms and a little bit here and there of her face. And I think I can make this work a little bit better. A main issue I have with is really how small these arms are. And okay, stop right there. I'm assuming this is supposed to be like an able-bodied, long-armed person in the case of this drawing, because there's no indication that that's not the case. So before y'all come for me, so I would kind of like to see, you know, if she's doing this Charlie's Angels pose, like the arms would kind of come out here, because you want the elbows to meet you at your waist, and then you want your hands to meet you like a little bit down here below the crotch line. And I like how pushed her anatomy is. I'm going to bring up her waist. I'm gonna start with grabbing this and just making it bigger. You know, this already is starting to look a little bit more accurate. So I'd also like to see a little bit more of a nose bridge where it goes down from where her eyebrows. That I'm gonna move this lip over because I feel like it's not centered properly. I kind of feel like the eyes are a little bit spread apart. I'm gonna add a little bit of definition of where part of the bridge kind of changes. And I'd like to see a little bit more definition in her expression. If she's like frowning because she's doing this whole like, ooh, I'm a double agent, like, you know, let's see a little bit more in her frown. And then here, I feel like the ear is a little bit too soon. Like her cheek hasn't had time to finish being a cheek before it already goes into the ear. Ooh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna add a little highlight because that's what I like to do. Ooh, isn't that nice? So her neck would come down here, right? And then her shoulders pushed up, and it's really pushed up, which I don't really mind. I think that's, you know, kind of fun. I'm going to smooth out this bump. I see we have like a really intense fold in her body, which wouldn't really happen in this scenario, but, you know, it's kind of like a fun stylized thing. I think I'd bring that neck out. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring this whole thing a little bit lower to accommodate this new neck I'm creating for her. And then I'm going to really Frankenstein this as much as I can to fit in this drawing. You know, and if we're gonna do this finger guns, we're gonna see those back fingers as well. You know, while I have you here, let me grab this piece of hair and let me move it just to kind of close that shape a little bit. And I respect it. I respect the straight angle of the braid. I'm not gonna change that. Going back to the part that I'm trying to avoid, which is this whole mess that I've created with the arms. Wait, did I block the chin? I lost the chin! And then I'm gonna help that under boob come back out because I've lost so many things while I've been doing this. And then a little bit of the hair, I'm going to like try to clarify some of these shapes, and why not have a little bit of pieces come out, add a little bit of definition to these bits and these bobs. I'm trying to bring the chin back to what it was, but I think I lost it, so don't at me on that. Even now, I think that still the arms are a little bit tight and we're losing a little bit of her volume, like where her back boob would be and where her shoulder is missing and stuff like that. But, you know, I'm not gonna really go in and try to change this, you know, whole thing. I'd probably move this further back where you see where it ends, so then the back arm could kind of like really like be showcased and stuff like that. But I still think that the head is a little too tight to the rest of the body. As Tyra would say, no neck monster. I think that the rendering style is really cool, and I think that what you have with the face, like with this wide bridge and like the way the lips are, I think it is very cool. And I obviously changed it to be a little bit more mainstream, so, you know, take that with a grain of salt. It's a little bit more anatomically correct, but it's kind of a little bit out of the style that, you know, this drawing is in. And I'm sure you guys have some opinions on this drawing that I'm doing, so go ahead, type it, I can take it. This piece is really cute. I see the also references next to it, so I feel like I know exactly what vibe you're going for, and there's just a few things that we could tweak to make this feel a little bit more volumetric. And this sweater is supposed to be a big baggy sweater, so where's the big baggy sweater? I feel like you got a little scared to give her a big baggy sweater. So first of all, her center line looks like it's going like this. And then the jacket center line is here. So those are conflicting center lines. This looks like her knee is coming up because we have this bend, but then because both these pieces, these rips are in the same spot, it's actually making me think that it's not. This bend is really taking me off. I'm gonna do the easiest way, and I'm just gonna say that this leg is behind that little leg, really showing those like wrinkles that go into making this jacket look like it's hanging off and then wrapping like around her. I'd take this star, I'd move it over here, I'd close up this leg so it looks like it's a little bit more behind her. I'd drop that hip down, I'd bring this one up. I'd love to see some of these back fingers. Like, it's almost there. This hand is like really close. Just showing some of the back fingers, you know, with her eyes. Both eyes look like they're doing different things. They're like different types of eyes. I bring those eyebrows a little closer so we can understand the bridge of that brow tighter. And then I try to make these eyes look a little bit more similar. I think it's actually important to show this back arm to see how it connects into this sweater. And then I think the final thing I'm gonna do, just to make her look a little bit more energetic, I'm gonna kind of give her a little bit more of a confident stance. I'm gonna make her pupil look in the same direction. Yeah, this was a really quick one, but it's to show that even like simple designs with a little bit of like intentional choices, even if your level of drawing isn't, you know, professional, you can still make something look anatomically correct and more volumetric. So this is our before and after, but by moving her eyes, changing her eye direction slightly, bulking up that sweater, changing her hip and shoulders, like we kind of give a little bit more personality to her, like ever so slightly, you know what I mean? It's really barely a change here. I think it's still worth taking a look at. What do you think? Oh, as you can see, it's nighttime. It's dark now, so I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna be done with this. Let me know if you learned something. Also, let me know if you didn't learn something. You can have your art to be looked at for my next critique video by joining my Patreon Discord. Otherwise, you can post it on Instagram under Critique Me Jackie. That would be also very cool. But as I leave you, I beg you, please smash that like button. Destroy that subscribe button. Ding dong that bell notification. And yeah, that's about it. All right, I'll see you next time then. Bye.